Hey guys, guess who's back on another episode? That's right, it's me, it's Diego, the one and only, the only guy who's pulling this fucking truck at this point in time. And you know what? I'm back for another episode because I promised you guys more episodes, and I know I haven't delivered, but that's because, I was supposed to have co-hosts, and I don't have co-hosts anymore, which kind of sucks. So why don't I have co-hosts? Why didn't I post anything in a while? And the truth is, I got into a conflict with the people who were supposed to be my co-hosts, and I'm not going to mention who those people are, but I couldn't see myself working with them anymore. We got into a huge debacle over it, and honestly, I could say, you know what, good riddance. So I decided to do this episode on my own because I figured that this is one thing that I still can do. I can still make these episodes on my own, and you guys, for some reason, you still want them. So, without further ado, I bring you another episode of Hell's Microphone. By the way, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I got a new logo. It was hand-drawn and digitally uploaded by the amazingly talented Laura Zeta. Laura, I love the work that you did. The logo is amazing. I'm going to use it on all my videos now. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you. So without further ado, let's get right into this. So I figured with all the talk surrounding it, I want to give my opinion on what's called net neutrality. So let's give a brief description on what net neutrality is for anyone who doesn't know. Believe me, I didn't know what it was before today. So, net neutrality, this is according to SaveTheInternet.com, is presented by a free press, so this is a non-profit organization type of thing. So, net neutrality is the Internet's guiding principle. It preserves our right to communicate freely online. Net neutrality means an Internet that enables and protects free speech. It means that ISPs should provide us with open networks and shouldn't block or discriminate against any applications or content that ride over those networks. Just as your phone company shouldn't decide who you call and what you say on that call, your ISP shouldn't interfere with the content you view or post online. So, what this basically means is that you should be protected on what you say or what you do online. Now, of course, there has to be principles to this. There's, of course, dark websites to which you can't go on because they violate constitutional rights. However, I guess what net neutrality is trying to protect is it's trying to protect our right to go on websites and say things that we want to say and do things that we want to do. And net neutrality is what allows a lot of us to do what we're allowed to do. So without net neutrality, I guess there would be these large corporations like your internet provider. So let's say your internet company is let's say AT&T, right? So AT&T is who you get your internet from. You buy your internet from AT&T, like you have a monthly plan or whatever. So AT&T, since net neutrality isn't a thing, they're like, okay, you're only going to be able to go visit these websites. And it's going to be list of 15 websites, right? And you're like, but Netflix isn't on here, and YouTube isn't on here, and Hulu isn't on here. And they're like, okay, you want to go on there? You need to pay us more money so you can visit those websites. And they're like, oh, what the fuck? And even if you pay for that extra money, they can be like, okay, you paid for YouTube, however, you only get YouTube Kids. You're not going to get all of the YouTube that you want to see. So, because net neutrality exists, it allows us to be more open on the internet. If net neutrality was not a thing, there would be a world ruled by these corporations, because we practically live our lives on the internet. What I'm doing right now is I'm voicing my opinion. I'm using this outlet through the internet. So if internet did not exist, or if internet was too expensive, I couldn't afford to do what it is I'm doing right now. So thank God for net neutrality, am I right? Even the word net neutrality, net neutral, neutralize. It neutralizes. It makes everything neutral. No one thing is above another. But even then, there's still got to be guiding principles. So let's talk about things that net neutrality wouldn't cover, like dark web. Now, a lot of people have their own opinion about what they think dark web is. A lot of people think, "Oh, I've been on the dark web. You know, I see things on Reddit on 50/50." That's not dark web. In order to visit the supposed dark web, you need a specific type of browser. This browser is called a Tor browser or any type of browser. What this browser does is it allows you to go on a secure line that can't be monitored and go onto websites that you can't normally access due to, I guess you can say, like US Federation. So the things that you would find on dark web forums or dark web websites are not normal things. Like people say, "Oh, so you find porn on there, like premium porn." No. The things that you would find on there are extremely disgusting and vile and horrible. There have been stories of people going on the dark web and finding hitmen and hiring hitmen. And I know that sounds like something out of a comic book or something out of, like, you know, a late night story on fucking whatever it is that replaced Twilight Zone. I think it's called like Black Mirror or something. But anyways, it's fucking real. All this shit is real. There is a dark side to the internet that people neglect, and there are those certain people who choose to find it and they regret what they find. It's scarring. It's horrible. It's not okay to look at, and you don't really come back from it the same. I kind of went off on a tangent there, and I realize that now. However, I didn't want to just talk about net neutrality today. I kind of want to just discuss the internet in general, because the internet, you know, it's fucking incredible. Can you imagine all the shit that we would have to do normally, like by hand or like in a fucking library, if we didn't have the internet? I wouldn't be able to do this. It'd be me bitching on a street corner to whoever the fuck is listening. But because of the internet, I'm allowed to do this and broadcast to almost everyone in the world. I mean, not that everyone in the world listens. I can get really anyone who I talk to listen to this. But that's the actual, you know, that's the actual whole range of it, which is incredible now that you think about it. And that's really interesting. At least to me it is. And I want to thank whoever who invented the internet. Let's look this up. Who invented the internet? The inventors of the internet are Robert E. Kahn and Vint Cerf. A single person did not create the internet. Okay, so the idea of the internet came in 1968. Wow, that's pretty cool. So commercial internet didn't really become a thing until like the age of the WWW, the World Wide Web, did not enter the world until the early 90s. The graphical internet browser did not enter the world until till 93. But the whole idea of the internet is fucking awesome. Like, think about it. We have in our pockets, at least most of the time, this incredible device in which we take for granted, actually. We use it to post stupid-ass pictures of ourselves. I know I have. But we take it for granted when we think about all the shit that we can do with this little device that's in our pocket all the times. I know I do. Another talk besides the internet, I actually also want to discuss anything, really. I found that having one specific topic on one day, it bores me. I know that there are a lot of people who say, "Oh, I listen to podcasts because I want to listen to something specific." I listen to podcasts because of that. I do the same thing. I listen to a podcast about the history of swear words. I listen to a podcast about the history. I listen to a lot of history podcasts, which is kind of weird. I listen to comedy podcasts where they tell joke after joke, and I listen. One of my favorite podcasts to listen to is the H3 podcast, which actually is why I do what I do. Because the H3 podcast isn't actually, based on, like, there is no set pace to it. It's just they have a guest and they talk to that guest. And that's what I would like to do. Except I don't have a fucking guest. I'm alone in my fucking room. I'm fucking shirtless in my room and I got nothing to do because I'm a bored motherfucker. Woo! Anyways, that's really it. This is a very short episode. I guess the reason why I made this episode was kind of to announce that I'm coming back and to say that, I'm not dead. Maybe I'm posting shit a lot slower than I was, and this is actually very rushed because I didn't want to. I was tired of people yelling at me, when are you going to post another episode? When are you going to post another episode? So, you know what? Here's your fucking episode. I know it's fucking slow. I know it's not as appealing as the other ones. But you know what? I haven't had time to do all this shit. So when I get time, I will post a proper episode. But until then, I want you guys to be happy with this at least. This is Diego signing off for Hell's Microphone. Hopefully not alone anymore. Hopefully alone for the last time. So you know what? Goodbye, guys, and have a wonderful night.